Centre part of the auditorium, please. And you need to be sitting next to somebody, please. We will be doing a lot of perfect partner talk today, a lot of interacting with each other, please. Thank you. Please introduce yourselves to the person next to you, using lots of lovely eye contact, please, and making sure that you're ready, when we say perfect partners, to talk to each other. That's right. The second thing I would like you to do for me, I would like you to put your mobile phones away. No Twitter, no WhatsApp, no Facebook, no memos, nothing at all, please. And you can also put your pens and paper down as well. All I need is your brains, your ears, and your eyes. And your mouth, because we're going to be speaking as well. My name is Mاثيو Custance, or Mr. Custance, as all the children know me as. I'm the head of school at a brand new school in London called Wandsworth. We are a character school where we merge academic success with character virtues, which I'll be talking to you a little bit later. This is my school on the left. And I've got some lovely children there. I couldn't bring them with me. They couldn't quite stand the 72-hour trip, but there they are. I've got the lovely Kaylin and the lovely Archie there, just watching down on me. They're actually in school in about an hour's time, so I'm a little bit nervous because this is the first time I've actually left them by themselves, of course with teachers. Today has been a great start from the doctor, who has mentioned quite a few times our goal, which is to make sure all our children are happy, high achievers. And if there's one photo, and I'm sure this gentleman right here will be very impressed with it, which encapsulates our children and our school, is at phonics time. No iPads, no screens, just a whiteboard, a pen, a rubber, and an outstanding inspirational teacher. A little bit about myself. This is my first headship. I started in September. Before that, I was a deputy head, and before that, I was a teacher. But I actually have never stopped being a teacher. I've been in teaching for 10 years now, and 10% of my working week, which is around 6-7 hours, I'm actually teaching in class. And that's a message that I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about. Now, I'm just drawing your attention to these two stats at the bottom, which remind me of a place where we're actually in at the moment. 42 nationalities that I have taught over the last 10 years, and 33 languages. So, as teachers, as professionals who work and live in Dubai, I know exactly where you're coming from. Children who are coming in with very, very basic English, very different language expectations at home. I've been there, I've done that, and I've got the t-shirt as well. I have taught in my time over 1,000 children in 2 early years settings in 2 schools. Now, there are 2 schools that I'm going to be talking about today. My current one, which is Wandsworth, and my previous school, which is St. George's. Now, if there's one thing you're going to do if you ever go to London, apart from going to see Buckingham Palace, the London Eye, the zoo, and all the lovely things, you have to book a place and go and see this school. St George's Primary School in Battersea is in the middle of an estate. It is serving some of the most deprived children in the UK. It is in the top 2 percentile of areas of the most deprived areas in the country. Yet, it achieves the top 2% in terms of results. It is a state-funded school, but is competing with all the private schools in the area. One thing, go to this school. I was there for 4 years. I was a teacher and a leader. One crucial part of their success is all the leaders, middle leaders, and upper leaders as well, they all teach. And I have followed on that mindset, starting up my own school here. Right, time for you to do some work. I would like you to think of a child from your school, or any child that you've ever come across. I would like you to think of an area of learning where that child has exceeded expectations, has gone beyond what you thought they might be capable of. And then you need to describe how you made that happen. You have 1.5 minutes. Talk to the person next to you, please. Off you go. Now, as part of my work in the UK, where I go all around the country helping teachers and practitioners in early years units, I go in, I look at the learning, I talk to the teachers, I look at the provision, and I ask myself one question. The success that these children are having, what has been put in place before today? Because when Ofsted go into your classrooms, well, you only have 48 hours notice in the UK. Did you know that? Yeah, pretty scary. There is no hiding place. So what you have to do, you have to have everything in place before those 48 hours. And there's absolutely no hiding place. So what happens when I go into schools, I think, okay, that's a successful part of learning, but talk to me, to get the teachers talking, what has been put in place? And this is a question I pose to my team, schools up and down the country, every single day. And we'll come back to this PowerPoint slide a little bit later. Now, expectations. Now, these children are not in the early years, if you hadn't quite noticed. These are children who are taking part in their final assembly before they go off into secondary school. So these children are 10 and 11 years old. Now, what I do, and this is so powerful, is that if I go into any school and a teacher or a head teacher is talking to me about, oh, this child won't get to that stage by then, they're never going to make it, they sound so downbeat. Do you know what I do? I just say, bring that child in front of me here and give me a good reason why that child cannot make standard. And the head teacher, the teacher, suddenly picks up and goes, oh, okay, we can do this and this and this and this. It's a complete change in mindset. Now, teachers love to come and work at St George's in Floret Wandsworth. Do you know why? Because we have banned moaning. There is no such thing as a moan. It is completely banned. There is no such phrase as, I can't, or we can't do that, or we don't have the resources to do that. No, it's a complete shift. If these children from fatherless homes, from a flat with 2 bedrooms, 3 generations under one roof, no holidays, no passport, never been out of the country, barely been to outside of London, if they can make it, if they can go into the middle and top sets in the best secondary schools in London, then any child can. Just to give you a background in St George's, this, it was taken about 3-4 years ago. You can see it's quite a hot day. The children have got their ties off. And you can see the high rise in the background. That school was serving the most deprived children in the community, yet the expectations were sky high. All of those children, by the time they got to age 5 and 6, every single one of those children passed the phonics test. 100%. Now, just to show you some real life learning, this is a child's work when they first come into reception. Reception is 4 and 5 years old. You can see that this child has some handwriting already, has had a little bit of help from myself to sound out the word sweet. And then look at their learning 7 months later. Same child. Written in 25 minutes. And as B was saying this morning, there is no I can't. There's no such thing as reluctant writers. All the boys write, and they want to write. They don't know any different. But as teachers, we think, oh, here comes a boy to the writing table. They don't like writing. We've already set that in motion. We've already got that mindset. It's all about having the growth mindset. Come away from your fixed mindset about what children can achieve. Now, at our schools, we start with behaviour. Behaviour for adults and children. And we start with one word. And it's the word dignity. That character virtue, core virtue in all our adults and all our children. I'll give you an example. I ask all the teachers before they send that email to press pause and think, can I have that conversation one-to-one? Do I have the dignity to go up and have a brave conversation without hiding behind that email? We're coming away from emails now. Everything is face-to-face. We work with complete transparency. With the children, we instill the word dignity from when they first enter our nursery. That's at age 3. Some of them come in at age 2. And we start with that word dignity. And do you know who we teach the word dignity about? We teach with this lady. Is it a historical figure? Is it somebody very famous? Is it maybe a footballer? I'm not too sure. It is the Queen. For a 31-year-old man to have a role model that is the Queen is a little bit odd. But I don't mind. The most dignified woman in the whole world. Every single child that I have ever come across, those 1,000 children, all know who this lady is, what she stands for, and how she acts. Because everything about her is dignified. We leave our problems at the door. I don't want to hear about your broken dishwasher. I don't want to hear about the traffic in the morning. I really don't care. Because who are we serving? We're serving the children. We leave all our problems at the door, and that includes the children as well. Because the moment they come in at 8:30 till 3:30, 189 days a year, everything has one focus: learning. We take home life into consideration, and we work with them outside of school hours, but between 8:30 and 3:30, it's go, 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 learn, learn, learn. We have developed something at our schools called pressing pause. So we don't have timeouts. We don't have that chair, oh my goodness, that chair that children go and sit on. The amount of times I've walked into schools and I've seen children sat on a chair and they're there because they've done something naughty or whatever it is. And I go up to them and I ask them and I say, why are you sitting on that chair? And they look at me and go, don't know. And the teacher says, oh yes, they need a 5-minute timeout. Well, you know, in that 5 minutes, the child has found a piece of fluff, and that fluff is now their imaginary friend, and they've forgotten completely why they're even sitting there. There's another 5 minutes wasted. All we do is we get the children to press pause, to think, and go straight back to one focus, and that's their learning. If any children are really struggling, we use 3 magic words. Restore your dignity. Our positive directives are there to help the children. You'd never hear one of our teachers saying, stop talking, don't do that. All you're telling the child is what not to do. Always giving them the message what to do. As adults, we have been told what to do. It's the same for children. And we hate signs that say, don't go here, don't do this, don't do that. It's all about being able to have that positive directive. And you'll notice the difference in your teachers. They're happier. And because the children are happier as well, it creates such a lovely atmosphere. There is a non-negotiable at my school, and that is that everyone participates. You'll notice today I brought everyone to the middle and I made sure that everyone was sitting next to somebody. There are no hiding places. And that's exactly the same as our schools. We have now come away from hands up. That's pretty much banned, because the children know that if I say perfect partners, they straight away have that opportunity to talk. Now, in a place like Dubai, in a place like London, talk is crucial, that they get to talk through the problems. It's always the same child with the hands up, and the same children who are sitting at the back, and they'll be the same children that sit at the back until they finish university. They'll always sit at the back of the lecture theatre. So what we have to do is to make sure that you just say perfect partners, and they sit like this, shoulders parallel, and their eye contact, talking to the person next to them. We start that from nursery, and that continues right through to year 6. And then they get a shock when they go to secondary schools. But we're working on that. Okay, what do these photos have in common? We have children pretending to be on X Factor. We have a baby who's starting to read. Anyone know who that is? It's Tolkien. We have a child from my school who is writing. And we have Kezia from my last school who is in nursery, and she's pushing a pram. But what do those photos have in common? You can press pause and have a little think. Imagination. Engagement. Creativity. Initiative. All these photos have come about from one thing. These individuals have all had something modeled to them. This baby wasn't born knowing how to pick up a book. It learnt. These children watched X Factor, and then they were modeled by singers or whoever it was to hold the microphone up to their mouth. Kezia has learnt it from her mother. Tolkien, who knows where he's got his ideas from, blimey, they were very, very original. But still, to write and to be inspired, he must have taken inspiration from someone. Now, as school leaders and teachers, we have, just like we were saying this morning, the crucial point of modeling absolutely everything. Now, we're going to watch a little video. So here are children from St. George's, and they are acting out the story of the 3 little pigs. And have a little look how well it's been modelled by the adults so that the children can participate. Before we start the video, just to give you a bit of background, Russian, Ukrainian, Ghanaian, Indian, Nigerian, where are we going next? From Afghanistan, from Mauritius. These children came in with exceptionally low language standards. They had exceptionally low and poor models at home in terms of English. But look how well they are working together as a team. If we could press play for me, that'd be great. Thank you.
This is the story of the three little pigs. The three little pigs hatched and lived in a cramped, smelly house. Mother Pig said, "You must have your houses and set up." They built houses out of straw, sticks, and bricks. Oh no! The big bad wolf blew 2 of the houses down.
Okay, if we could press pause, please, for me.
Yeah.
Did you like the way they went cramped like that? That's been modelled from the adults. Because, of course, as adults, we say words all the time, and we suddenly assume that the children know what it means. But as soon as you've got that action, our little girl from Mauritius has come in and knows that cramped means tight, like this, and she was holding herself tight. We are setting the children up to succeed all the time. It comes back to that word dignity. The transitions between the classrooms in our schools are very dignified. These nursery children are 2, 3, and some of them are 4 years old, and they walk around with their hands on their hips. Queen Elizabeth II would be very proud. They continue this on throughout the school up to around 2 or 3, and then they know that transitioning from one classroom to another, transitioning from the hall to the classroom, wherever it is, they are dignified. Because they are entering the next area of learning quietly, ready to listen and learn. We don't have any of this chit-chat coming in, and then the teacher has to work really hard to settle the children. They're coming in with that mindset, I'm ready to listen and learn, I'm going in, and they know that they have long break times and lots of perfect partner talk within the classroom so that they can get all that chat out, which we know is very, very important. Oh, nearly missed a question. What does it look like when you're not there? Now, this is a question was posed to me in my NQT year 10 years ago. I said, what do you mean? I can't leave my classroom. The head said to me, hide in the cupboard. So I did. I hid in the cupboard, and guess what? Because I had modelled everything, the children just carried on. And nobody needed me for like 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. They just carried on and drove their own learning. So I really challenge you to maybe get some newspaper and cut out some holes or something like that and hide. What does it look like when you're not there? That's the crucial point. And if we can press play, I have set up a little candid camera. Thank you. Could you press pause for me? Did you notice the children as they were going through? The child who was holding the door open, these nursery children, 3 years old, were saying to the person next to them, saying to the person who was holding the door, thank you for holding the door open for me, instilling those manners in as early as possible. Okay, a little video now about a reception class who are just about to set up for phonics. The interactive whiteboard is there, but we hardly ever use it. There was a question about iPads and things like that. We've got all that, but nothing better than raw teaching. I can't stand it when I hear, oh, the children should only be sitting on the carpet for 15 minutes at this age, and then maybe 20 minutes at age 5. Well, they can sit through Toy Story for 90 minutes and just sit there and engage with it, but they can't be engaged by a teacher for more than 20. Something doesn't quite add up. Now, I just want you to watch this video and look at the teacher very, very carefully. Please, could we press play? Thank you. And if you could press pause for me, please. Anything about the teacher? She didn't do anything. How lazy, I'm paying her, and she's doing nothing at all. My goodness, how many classrooms have I been in where there's this DVD running commentary? Oh, you're doing so well, yeah, keep going, yes, yes, yes. Teacher voice, just be quiet. Let the children get on. If you've modelled it, the children don't need a running commentary. Yes, you can praise them all together at the end. But did you notice the children are getting ready for phonics? They're all aged 4. This is back in September. And they did it by themselves. They didn't need constant reassurance and constant commentary. The teacher, that is a brand new teacher. She's 21. She's fresh out of university. And she's got it. She's limiting her teacher voice. Expectations, raise them. And then we're going into something that we call, that's called Sounds Right, which is our phonic scheme. Again, could we press play for me, please? This will give you a little snippet. If you could press play for me, please. Thank you.
We are now ready to write the word flip. I want to hear everybody say the sounds. 1, 2, remember, our sound is connected. Should be written all together.
Pretty good handwriting, isn't it? Now, during our inset days or training days and our twilight sessions with the teachers, we always start with a handwriting session. All the teachers and all the teaching assistants are all trained in exactly the same way. And they all write just like B is writing here, so that the child only ever has one model. They're not getting confused, oh, here's a bit of cursive, here's a bit of precursive. No. It doesn't matter which classroom B goes into, which teacher B has, she will always see the same model of handwriting. So there's never any confusion over letter formation or anything like that. Now, these are on every single desk in the classroom. All the parents have a copy, or the children have a copy, a laminated copy of my beautiful handwriting. And notice there's no twinkle, no sparkle box, or whatever it is. It's all handwritten by the teacher, handwritten resources. We're so dependent on typing. But actually, the children want to see something real. They want to see the little imperfections, because there are. And that's how we write. And for the next 50, 100 years, all our exams are going to be written with a pencil, pen, or a piece of paper. So our reliance on technology has got so vast that we've come away from the importance of handwriting. And of course, if the child can write in a succinct way like this, What can they do? They can read their own work. How many assemblies, how many times have I been in a classroom and a child's come up to the front in reception or nursery and they've started to read and suddenly their book gets closer and closer and they say, Mr. Custance, I can't read it. But if they have perfect handwriting, perfect presentation, then they're able to read it straight away. So there's some handwriting. Sorry about the quality of some of these videos and pictures. That's a teacher's handwriting. And again, perfect modelling. So the child has one model. We also have little success checkers at the bottom where children own their writing in reception. This is a child aged 4. They own their writing and they check their own writing after they have finished, so that they are ready for year 1 and above. We have a very simple marking system as well, which is tickled pink and green for growth. And that's something I can share with you by email. We've got a marking code that I can share. Okay, our staff. There's a picture of me in our library. And that's part of my 10-15% of teaching time each week. Our teachers lead and our leaders teach. In all of their contracts, it says that the leaders will be teaching at least 10% of their working week. If we want outstanding teachers, we have to drive it being outstanding leaders, which is why the children see me as a teacher. They see me in the classrooms all the time because I'm always modelling to the teachers. What will happen? All the children will come to the carpet. So just here, around here, there'll be teachers. It'll be a gallery lesson. Because what happens is that you get observations and you get an A4 piece of paper and you get areas for development, you get targets as teachers, and it's really disheartening. What do you mean, Mr. Custance, when you say that? Okay, I'll show you. Watch me, now you have a go. Now for heads, deputies, that's going to be quite scary, getting back into the classroom for some of you. Come away from your offices, get into the classrooms and teach and show the teachers how it's done. 75% of the school budget is spent on staff. We put resources, iPads, everything to the back of the list. We spend all our money on teacher training. Teacher training, teacher development. They know if they're coming to our school to work for us, we are going to make them the best that they can be. Teachers actually aren't that bothered about iPads and interactive whiteboards. That's not going to make you a good teacher, an outstanding teacher. It's actually hard work, grit, and determination to be the best that you can be. And as I mentioned before, all the teachers and teaching assistants are trained in exactly the same way. I want to walk into a classroom and I want visitors to find it difficult to establish who is the teaching assistant and who is the teacher. Now, awe and wonder in the early years. Expectations for our children had to be so high that we have to have these sorts of faces every single day. And look, it's something so simple as shells. My goodness, there's no fancy, expensive resources. That's just me going down to Brighton, going to the beach, picking up a few shells, and look at their faces. A couple of ideas for you to get them into the hook of reading and writing. Gruffalo footprints throughout the school. Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble from the caretaker for that little stunt. A gigantic spider we found in the playground on my arm. That became our class pet for a few days. Role play area. Again, not particularly fancy resources, but we've just cobbled together as much as we can. And look, that's just a table with a tablecloth over the top, and that's become the straw house. Something so simple. But the children with those language development issues, They're straight into that role play. They're acting out the story because the language has been modeled to them. Now, what we do is we start to change very traditional stories. So the 3 little pigs becomes the 3 elephants and the big bad moose. That's a scheme called Talk for Writing, which is something that I will talk about a little bit later. It's run by Pi Corbett, who is a magnificent poet, and it's someone who I urge you to have a look into. Some of his videos are on YouTube as well. Again, once children have learnt the story, they're acting it out. This is nursery children. Anyone guess which this story is? Oven, cow, horse. Gingerbread man, that's right. And here's a child from another school going through a story map on the carpet. Again, this is all Talk for Writing. And then, my goodness, I miss him so much. Aman, bless you. Acting out the story of the Princess and the Dragon. It's just a made-up story. Could we press play, please?
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess and a king. They lived in a magnificent castle. Then a dragon took the princess back to the tower. The king sent his bravest knight. He chopped the dragon. And the dragon took the princess back to the castle. Finally, the knight and the princess got married.
He did that every day for 2 weeks. I absolutely loved it. And did you notice he was starting to use sentence openers? Finally, then. And he did that so naturally as well. And then this is the same boy. This is in January. This is a boy who could not pick up a pencil when he got to reception at age 4. You can already see his handwriting using tram lines. If we could press play, please. 1.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess. She lived in a magnificent castle. Then a nasty dragon took the princess back to his tower.
Just like that. And that's September to January. With nothing at all. He came to school with nothing. Something I'm more than happy to share is a classroom code. The classroom code is for all the teachers to know exactly how to set up their classrooms, exactly the expectations for those individual rooms. And then I think we're just going to skip forward. This is an outside area for early years. I know that I think I've been given this signal by somebody, and it's 10 to 11. If we could just press play, and we'll just watch the children outside learning, please. Children doing PE by themselves outside of a crash mat. My goodness, health and safety, we would have a field day. But it was set up so the children were ready to succeed. Now parents, and it's very interesting, I went to school yesterday in Dubai, and we talked about parental engagement. And immediately I got a lot of comments about, oh, the parents are really hard to reach. They never engage with the school. Well, guess what? You get it right in early years, and the parents will be your best friends forever. Because the parents, if we've got parents here, guess what? You are the child's first educator. You are all teachers. If you get it right, if you get the parents involved, they will carry on throughout the school life. Here is family learning. Here's Holly's mum, and she's just about to go to work, but she knows exactly what Holly is learning at school, and crucially, how, so that she can do it at home. 95% of children's life chances are actually down to their parents. Family learning again. Getting dads involved, absolutely crucial. Here, this is 7:45 p.m. on a Thursday evening, and these are all my parents, and guess what they're doing? They're sitting the phonics test. That's them. There were Starbucks cups everywhere by the end of the night, but they were so grateful because they came up to me and said, Mr. Custance, I know what the government expects of my child now. I know what the school expects, and I know how to get the best out of my children's education. There were some really high scores and some really dodgy ones as well. But all those parents have committed to retake the test at the end of the year. Just to recap before we finish up today, these are my 5 top tips for success. Behavior of adults and children. You get that right down in nursery and reception, and you're away. Consistency of teaching, modeling of learning, the provision, using those natural resources, which has been mentioned quite a few times this morning, and get the parents involved. Get the parents to be the teachers, because once they know how to do it, it's half your job done. Now, I talked a little bit about the 2 schemes that we used, and in the UK, our education system isn't just run by bald men, but they are 2 men that I have been working with for a number of years. We have John Walker, who has set up Sounds Right, which is such a simple phonics system that the whole school uses. And Taught for Writing. That was where the child was starting to change the stories, such as the 3 elephants and the big bad moose. And this is Pi Corbett. I have a book coming out with him very, very shortly, and we've worked together on this scheme, Taught for Writing. That's my email there. I'm sure you've got lots of questions and lots of can I have your questions as well. And please follow us on Twitter, Floriat Wandsworth. Do you have any questions? And I'm pretty sure there are going to be a few. Thank you very much. Sorry I had to rattle through. Hi. Yes, absolutely. Any other questions, please? Oh yes, this lady just at the front. Here we go.
Right. Oh, microphone. Sorry. What's the class size?
30.
30.
30. So our ratios are 1 to 15. So a teaching assistant and a teacher in every class. In nursery, it's 1 to 8. So nursery is 3 and 4 years old. So 1 teacher to every 8 children. Any other
Do we have time now for one more question? Throw it, please. Can you throw it?
Hi.
A bit dangerous, that. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's safe, 100%.
So I have a question. Do you completely dismiss technology from your classrooms? Do you just rely on raw teaching on its own? And why?
We don't dismiss it. It's there. You saw the interactive whiteboard, which is about £7,000 or something like that. But I'd never want to see PowerPoint presentations in the classroom. It just breaks my heart for 3 and 4 years old. I want to see raw, exciting, imaginative teaching. And that's a personal thing and professional thing, but I know that other schools are very reliant on that. However, children now, I think it's nearly every single child in my school has an iPad and or a TV at home. So they're constantly getting that screen technology. And at school, you know, you've got them for 6-7 hours. I would limit it. Well, the older they get, they can use it a bit more succinctly, but yeah, not keen, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much.